foremost, I just want to give a thank you, first of all to Derek Fox and his great staff, embracing not only, to be honest with you, not only our players, but our players' families, and certainly our fan base. It's been a tremendous first-class experience all week, and beyond grateful for the support we've been given and the opportunity to play in this football game.
Thank you. Coach Leach, can you tell us how the practice has been going this week?
No, I thought they went pretty well. We got good facilities. It's easy to get back and forth, and I think practice has been pretty good.
All right, questions. Everything's from the head table, and you need to get a hand up, please, in the front. Randy?
Matt, what makes Brock so effective, especially in the fourth quarter, despite such a young age?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Brock has been he's been able to lean on some of those players around him, with obviously David and Akeem and Matt Eaton and, the tight end position continuing to grow within the offense. I think that's been probably what he's done the best is, play within himself. And I think for a young guy, especially at the quarterback position, it's what you hope to see as a guy that doesn't try to do too much and has the ability to play within himself.
Question, front right. Go ahead.
I guess first for Coach Campbell and then Coach Leach. Both your quarterbacks, Gardner and Brock, are top 4 in pass rating in the fourth quarter and overtime. I guess what have you seen from your quarterbacks and the ability to make plays in critical moments?
Again, I think that goes back to, what I talked about with Brock in terms of his preparation in detail, and I think for a young guy, understanding the system and really, working hard off the field to be able to know what critical moments, critical detail, and be able to execute. I think that's a lot of his maturity off the field that's allowed him to have that kind of success.
Back to Randy. In front here.
Coach Leach, what is your formula for finding a quarterback and then molding that quarterback into what you like it to be?
Really, it's remarkably simple. Find somebody that's accurate. Don't compromise accuracy. Everybody says all he's got to do is work on his accuracy. I think that's where you start. You don't work on accuracy. You start with a guy that's accurate, and then you want a guy that can make good decisions, and you can impact that as a coach. And then after that, you've got all the other things. Does he have quick feet? Does he have a strong arm? Is he fast? And I can't think of anybody in the NFL Hall of Fame that's got all 5 of those things. So, but I think you have to get those first 2, and then you continue to polish them. But you want a guy that the team draws from, that elevates the team, that makes the other players around him better. And that's kind of an intangible thing that I think you have to see. It can be developed, but I think you got to see that happen. And then from there, it's just persistence. Just as a coach, refuse to go away and just keep making him do what you want.
Question front.
Like Woody Allen says, 90% of life is showing up. So make sure you show up.
Coach Leach, what is your lasting impression of the state of Iowa and the people in Iowa?
Outstanding people in Iowa, very down-to-earth people in Iowa. I think that, and it was a great place to be. I was in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, of course, Iowa Wesleyan College. And, and then, of course, every town's got, some unique thing or the unique place or the unique story or the, so Iowa is kind of a fascinating place. And then it was kind of funny, and Iowans love Iowa. There's actually a great book. I think it's called Breakfast in America. It's by Bill Bryson, anyway, and he's from Iowa, and he talks about Iowa, and he travels across the U.S. Anyway, you'd go to and this is going to happen on this bowl too. Folks from Iowa would say, yeah, and they'd be going somewhere really cool, and they'd be heading to, I don't know, Disneyland, say. So then they're getting ready. Yeah, we're going to go to Disneyland, see what all that Mickey Mouse stuff's all about, type of thing. And then when it was time to go, though, they'd be at the airport a couple hours before the plane left. They're on the plane, get back there, and then they go to Maid Ride or something, once they get back, have their coffee, and they'll say, yeah, we went down there to that Orlando area and went to Disneyland, did a little of that. He goes, it was nice. Ain't nothing like Iowa, though. And it's always, and they really, ain't nothing like Iowa, though. So it was. I mean, the people enthusiastic about the place. It was a captivating place.
Coach Leach, you spent a lot of time in the Big 12. So I'm curious, when you've been scouting Iowa State's defense, what do you see with that defense that has allowed them to have so much success in that conference that's known for great offense?
I think they're good. I think they transition really well. I think that's the biggest thing. The hardest thing about a defense is everybody going to the same place in a synchronized fashion. They do a good job of that. They run to the ball well, and you got kind of a second level of people that are trying to be involved both in the run and the pass, and they do a good job of transitioning that way without leaving any holes.
Front, middle.
Coach Leach, as somebody who used to be in the Big 12, I think you probably have a good understanding of how difficult it is to win there. Just was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the success that Coach Campbell has had and just how he's been able to win in such a tough league.
I think we're in quite similar situations. I think our teams are similar. But yeah, it's Iowa State is a unique spot, and I think it's a place that once you get your players up there and they embrace it, I think that you have an immediate identity, and then you just kind of rally around that. But I think he's done a fine job, and I think that it is a tough league, but I think they'll continue to have success there too.
Question front here.
Coach Campbell, I know we've talked about it a lot, but how would you reflect, or how would you describe how challenging and rewarding it's been to see the team go from having sort of an if and what can we do mentality to a we're doing something mentality?
Yeah, I think you reflect on it a little bit because you see this senior class, and you're going to be with them for 2 more days, and it's a group just like last year's group that really went through some really hard moments during their early stages of their football career. And I think Coach hit on it a little bit ago, like you get to a place and you want to give young men hope, and you want to create an identity and give them a chance to become the best versions of themselves they can be. And that's what's really been rewarding about watching these last 2 senior classes really take ownership in the program and really start leading from the inside out. So to me, it's been really rewarding to watch these young men have this, be able to have success and be able to create an identity for this football program.
Backside.
Coach Campbell, I know you've read Coach Leach's book. Spending time with him during bowl week, has your impression of him changed, or is it about the same?
Give him as gifts to all your relatives, too, if you would.
Yeah, I was trying to help everybody with with Coach's book sales, but for me, I've always been such a great admirer of coaches that I've used this term a lot, is coaches that are trying to do something rather than trying to be somebody. And I think as a young coach and playing for a guy like Coach Karras at Mount Union during my time there, I was always fascinated with what made him tick and be successful. And I think as you look at Coach's career as a young guy coming up through the profession, watching his Texas Tech teams, and certainly watching what he's done now at Washington State, you just have a great admiration for how their kids play, the success he's been able to have, and be able to sustain in this profession. So, it's certainly been an honor to be a part of this with Coach Leach.
Back.
This is for both coaches. Just you guys were at the pep rally yesterday. What is that event like for you and your teams, and how does that event compare to other bowl game experiences that you guys have had since you've been a part of so many of these?
Well, I think it's unique, you know. I mean, it starts with having a river, and then but I think it is a unique deal, and you know, on the stage there, it's a little harder to get the full feel of it, you know, because you know the microphone's a little distorted and it echoes a little, at least if you're holding the thing. And then, but from what the people I've talked to, and you probably have a better perspective of this, I think the visual of it was quite impressive, and you know, with the boats full of players, and then just the way the whole thing appeared and came across with the, you know, the spirit squads and all that. I heard that from the front side, it was very impressive, and so you know, from the back side, it was impressive too. So.
You know, I'd echo the same thing from Coach. You know, it's obviously being on the river and having the opportunity for our kids to come down in the boats was, I think, really well received from our young men, and I think really a first-class experience for everybody involved.
Jay, middle. Or, who's got the mic? Go ahead, Randy. Randy, then middle.
Okay. Coach Leach, as the quarterback whisperer of college football, what are your thoughts on Brock Purdy?
Good player. You know, I think the best thing he does, what he's done impressively is he's been able to effectively take the reins at a young age and elevate the players around him, and I think that's the hardest thing. And I think sometimes, you know, a young guy doesn't necessarily feel entitled to lead because, you know, everybody's been there longer than they have and things like that. But what it appears to me, just watching film from the outside, is, you know, he's kind of embraced that role as, you know, being the guy that guides the offense there.
Middle.
Mike, you're a history buff, and how much fun has it been to spend a week in a historic city like San Antonio, and have you learned anything about the Alamo that you may have not known?
I did go to the Alamo. Fascinating. You know, there's just a lot of details and nuances to the Alamo that are very impressive, and we had a historian kind of guided us through and did just a tremendous job of that. And you know, I'd like to explore more. I mean, we're actually practicing and meeting more than exploring, and I wish, you know, some days I wished it was the other way around. But no, this really is a great city to check out.
Back.
Coach Leach, what stands out about Matt Campbell and his coaching styles as a rising star in this perspective?
What's the first part of your question?
What stands out about his coaching style in your mind, and what makes him stand out above the rest?
I think a lot of passion, enthusiasm, and I think you know, he's passionate, enthusiastic, and so then I think his players are too.
Any final questions? Coaches, could we ask you to stand with the helmets for one picture, and then I'll walk you over to kick-off luncheon?